Hi everyone and welcome to Left Off the Map for another fantastic episode. I'm making a pasta that I actually haven't made before, but I've been really excited. I've been thinking about it a lot and been really excited to make for a long time. First thing I want to do, and this is quick as well, I'm relying on all of the umami, the saltiness, the flavour that comes in cured meats. And that's where I'm getting most of my flavour from, paired with a really good pesto. So I've got some salami, some good quality salami and a chorizo sausage, which I'm gonna pop in a food processor. So a small food processor like this one is the way to go. You're gonna be able to mix all of the salami and the chorizo meat together a lot easier in a small food processor. So I've got that ready. My salami, I'm gonna keep just a few pieces of salami out, just to serve with the dish. This salami can just get roughly chopped, just to make it a little bit easier for the food processor to do its job. Pop that in. There is a skin on the outside of chorizo, so I'm going to take that skin off because it's a little bit hard to food process that. So just cut it, peel that skin away, and then you're going to be left with the meat. Now, the main flavours in chorizo are paprika and garlic, so great flavours to transfer into our pasta sauce. Roughly chop the chorizo meat. Kind of just pulls apart really. And pop that in. Mix that up. You basically end up with a dried meat mince. So that's what it looks like inside. That's our sort of salami and chorizo mince done. Our pesto can go in with that. I'm going to use half a jar of our Mediterranean pesto. Mix that together. I'm going to saute that off in a pan, start to cook that chorizo. Now remember, it's cured meat, so it's already cooked. So really we're just adding some heat to it, try and get a little bit of colour on it. So we don't need to cook it for a long time. And there's enough fat in there that we don't need to add any oil. So I'll get my pan. Pop it into a cold pan so I can bring the heat in gently and extract that fat to become cooking oil. All right, so let that cook away for a little while. Now, because this is so rich, it's so intense, and we're going to have heaps of flavour, I want something a little bit fresher to go with it. So I've got a zucchini, just top and tail. A vegetable peeler. I just want to cut ribbons of the zucchini, which I'll fold through the pasta as well, which will freshen it up just a little bit. So just with your vegetable peeler. And the zucchini starts to get a bit watery as you get closer to the seed, so it's a good way also of keeping that core out of it, so keeping the wateriness out of the zucchini, which will keep it a little bit firmer, a little bit fresher once it goes into our pasta. You can hear that chorizo salami mix starting to cook now. All right, so my core, I don't need of my zucchini. I've got all of my zucchini ribbons there. So this part here, remember, we're not cooking, we're just heating through that mixture. So I need to cook this for a couple of minutes. While that's cooking away, I'll get my pasta ready. So my water's on. Remember, with pasta, a good amount of salt in the water so that we can season that pasta as it cooks. And that's getting pretty close to the amount of heat that I need in there. Now I've just got a small amount of passata, about a cup of passata, which is just tomato puree, to add just to turn this into a sauce. Turn the heat down on that now. So we'll give that about 10 to 15 minutes just to bubble away and all those flavours to extract into the tomato, into the sauce itself. While that's happening, we'll cook our pasta and then come back to put the dish together. My pasta is cooked, so I can turn that off. I can pretty much turn my sauce off as well now. That's been going for about 15 minutes. So I'll spoon my casserecci straight on top of my sauce. Just gently mix that through. So I can now spoon this. And I've just popped my zucchini, my fresh zucchini on the bottom of my bowl, and my pasta will go on top of that so that when you eat it, you get those fresh ribbons of zucchini as you go through. Clean up my mess. Oh man, that's good. That is so good. And just roll up a few pieces of that salami that you saved. Just pop it on the side. That is a pasta dish that when you eat, it's comfort food, but it's still nice and refreshing. It's got that zucchini there to give it a little bit of that fresh pop. That's a dish that I would cook over and over and over again because it is quick. It's full of flavour, which is what I like in pastas, and it's nice and refreshing too. So it's a pretty good combination for someone like me who loves really flavour-driven food, but you're gonna eat it and not feel terrible at the end. From one super tasty pasta that I will make again and again, we're gonna go meet a new host for the show. Her name is Holly Bowden. She's a good friend of mine. She's got her own, she's involved in a fashion label here in Tasmania called Smitten, which work with great Tasmanian merino wool. She designs hats and got a hat label called Mason, a hat that I often wear when I'm out on the road filming or if I'm going to a festival or the races or something like that. They're beautiful hats, check them out. So Holly's at Jansz Vineyard. So let's go catch up with Holly, learn a little bit about her and Jansz Vineyard.
Jen, thank you so much for having me at this beautiful property. We're in the Pipers River region in northern Tasmania. Now tell me a bit more about why this area is so special and Jansz produces such beautiful sparkling wine.
This is a really special part of Tasmania, particularly for sparkling wine because of the climate that exists here. And that coolness creates that beautiful complexity of flavour that we get in Tasmanian sparkling, but in all Tasmanian produce.
We are so lucky, obviously, to live here. And sparkling in particular has been compared to that of the Champagne region down here in Tassie. Why is that? There is a little bit to do with climate. It's mostly the coolness because the climates are essentially different. When you think about Champagne, it's continental, so where we are quite maritime. So that's one difference. And their soils are different to ours as well. So it's not so much the landscape that influences it, but the coolness that creates beautiful sparkling wines. So a lot of complexity kind of goes into the picking, the growing, the time of year, and that all impacts the tastes that we get to experience?
Indeed it does, yes. So at the moment, the berries are about not quite pea size, so they're still very much developing those flavours that we're looking for. But when they start to ripen, we'll taste every week, and then as it gets even closer, every day. And we'll choose when to pick those grapes based on taste, but we also back that up with testing the sugar level and the acidity.
As a vineyard, can you impact or change that at all, or it's just whatever Mother Nature? Yeah.
Yes, so certainly you get what Mother Nature gives you, but on top of that, winemakers can put their own style on those grapes to a certain degree.
How do you do that?
So with sparkling wine, it's probably one of the wines where you get to play a little bit more. The second fermentation involves leaving the wine in bottle on its yeast lees. So after that second fermentation, the yeast stays in there. And the time that you leave it there influences the mouthfeel and the secondary flavours that you put on top of the fruit flavours.
So it's a constant tasting and trialling
It
and
is.
kind of, yeah,
It
fun
is.
part of the job.
Yes, that's right.
Like you. Jen, this beautiful Pipers River region seems to be a very popular place for wine growing and sparkling growing. I've seen a fair few wineries as I came in. What makes this particular area so special?
Yeah, as you suggested, there are a lot of sparkling wine producers in this particular area. We've got Clover Hill just down the road, Arras here as well, and of course Jansz.
Very popular, well-known Tasmanian sparkling houses there.
Yes, obviously there's something special going on here.
What's the secret?
Look, we've got beautiful deep basalt soils here, which are great for growing sparkling wine vines. But there's also the proximity to the Bass Strait. So it's only a couple of kilometres over there to the Bass Strait. And that is what moderates the temperatures here. But it does keep it a little bit humid.
I'm feeling that. Yeah.
Particularly this year, but each year it is one of the areas that maintains that humidity.
Right. And that has an impact. That just helps to create perfect sparkling.
It does. So it allows the delicacy of the flavours. So for sparkling wine, we don't want big, robust flavours. We want that lovely purity and elegance.
Well, I think we should probably give it a little try.
Yes.
All this talk about this magnificent sparkling.
Yes.
I better put you work to the test.
Indeed. We must do that.
So Ben has asked me what you would recommend would pair well with your magnificent sparkling.
Okay, well, for any Tasmanian sparkling wine, any of these, you can't go past Tasmanian seafood.
Okay.
Oysters, scallops, crayfish, all of those things, and finfish as well.
Fresh, cooked.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, just seafood.
Yes, so oysters, natural with a little bit of Jansz poured over them. Oh. Delicious.
Well, we'll have to make do with the Jansz right now. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, I think I'm going to settle in here for the afternoon, and I might throw it back to you, Ben.
Well, most vineyards in Tasmania are beautiful, but Jansz is on a whole new level. Now, something you can do there is you can get a picnic platter from the cellar door, sit by the lake and enjoy a picnic, which I think is a fantastic way to spend a day. My dad has perfected, or he says he's perfected, an oyster kilpatrick recipe. So I'm gonna show you my dad's oyster kilpatrick recipe. You can try it at home and let us know whether you think it's the best one. So the first thing is make up our kilpatrick mixture. So bacon, I've got a nice streaky bacon here. You wanna cut this Depends, I guess, on how you like it. If you like there to be a bit of texture in your kilpatrick mixture, then don't cut it too fine. You're probably going to cut it more into little strips like that if you like a little bit of texture. If not, then dice it, which would mean just going through it this way and turning around and cutting through the other way. So I'm going to dice it. I just think it mixes better with the sauce or the kilpatrick mixture, and it creates a more even coating on top of the oyster. Then just put the knife, run the knife through it the other way to get my dice. And this is a nice smoky, streaky bacon, so it's going to add a nice smoked flavour. Pop that into my bowl. Now for my sauces. So I've got basically an even amount of everything. So about a tablespoon of tomato sauce, tablespoon of barbecue sauce, tablespoon of ketchup mayonnaise, tablespoon of Worcestershire, tablespoon of sweet chilli, and then some garlic, which I'm going to mince or grate in. And then I need about the same amount of cheese as I had bacon. So you don't need a huge amount of cheese. The cheese really is just there, well, it's there for a couple of reasons. One, I think that the fat that comes out of the cheese helps carry the flavour, but also kind of ties the sauce together a little bit. Helps that sauce stay together and sort of stick on top of the oyster. So I've got a good quality vintage cheddar. Because you're not using a lot of any of these ingredients, go for really good quality. So you saw it was a really good quality streaky bacon, and I'm going for a really good quality cheddar. Same thing, just grate that in. Now mix that in with my sauce, and that'll sort of bring that sauce together and make it a little thicker, a little chunkier, so that it sort of all sticks together. So I probably used about, that's 140 grams, so about 50 grams of cheddar. Okay, so the most difficulty I think Dad had making this recipe was getting the oysters to sit up properly, so he ended up making his own. I think you can just get them, you can buy them now from shops and even supermarkets, I think, have them now. You can get those little plates with the holes cut out of them where you can put the oysters in. Place these. I've got a pizza tray. You can get a sort of tray, a roasting tray, and put rock salt down to help them stand up properly. And then I'm just going to spoon the mixture on top of each oyster and pop them. You can put them under the grill if you want, or you can put them in the oven. Now, traditionally we've put them in the oven at my house. If you put them under the grill, you'll end up with, the oyster won't be as cooked, so it'll still be a little under, it'll still be nice and creamy and sort of half cooked. It'll sort of be almost poached rather than roasted. Okay, so I'll get a teaspoon. Let's put this on, it's a little bit easier. You want about a teaspoon of mixture on top of each oyster, just like that. go around, fill up each oyster shell, pop it in the oven, 180 degrees for about 15 minutes. That's what they look like when they come out. And if you're someone who can't get past the texture of natural oysters, because normally it's not the flavour that puts people off, it's the texture, this is a good way to get past that. By cooking the oyster, it firms it up, it gives it a much different texture. And also that layer of sort of sticky, chewy, crunchy, cheesy Kilpatrick mixture on top, I think it's a great combination between the flavour of the oyster, the texture of the oyster, and the mixture on top. So give this a try if you're new to oysters, or if you just love oysters and want to try a different type of Kilpatrick. This is a fantastic one.